Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday. This is the third and final video of the week. Got a couple things I want to go over. I'll try to make this as precise as possible. However, this video could be closer to 20 minutes. I will start off by saying I tried my last video to kind of pack things in based off of some demand from people that asked me to just, kind of pack in the stock picks. I've come to realize that's just not me. And if this video isn't for you because you don't like understanding the backdrop and understanding the fundamentals, then maybe it's just not for you. This is a more detailed video. These videos are meant to educate people, have them understand the market and understand the ties with our economy and a multitude of things. So I'm going to touch on some things here specifically. It's been a very eventful week. Let me start off by saying that. It's been a good week. I know some people are not having a great week. Some people are having a good week. If you understand the market and certain things, I think you've done pretty well. You stick to your rules. But in any case, let's jump into it. Today is, let's start off. The government shutdown is done. We're back. Unfortunately, all this data that was supposed to come out is not here because we still will not receive that till next week. Sorry. So we'll get that information. Let's touch on the NASDAQ because that is usually the main driver and the main component of what I look for. I like the tailwinds of the S&P and the NASDAQ trending up for me to trade in a more cohesive fashion. When I'm going long, when I'm going short, I like to see this breaking down. And for the record, I'm a swing momentum trader. I am a long-term investor as well in stocks that I believe in, but I stick to the rules of CanSlim, which was written by William O'Neill. That's really the way I learned how to trade. I've been doing this now for 15 years, and I feel I have become much better over the last 5 or 6 years because I've stuck to the rules and I have found a way to remove a lot of my emotion from my actual investments and my trades. And I think that was one of the things I had to overcome 5 or 6 years ago. And I think I've done a pretty good job. I'm far from perfect and I'm still getting better every day, every year. I'm always trying to improve my craft. So anyways, here nor there, I do go short and I go long. And so let's jump into what's working, what's not. So the backdrop of the market last week, we had that really nasty day down on Thursday. Friday, it caught support, and the NASDAQ caught this hammer candle at the 50 last week on Friday. That made me add shares to a lot of different positions. Monday, we had that follow through, which is right here, got right back over the 21, which is to me a very large indicator. I go green above the 21, I go yellow below the 21, I go red below the 50. Those are my rules as an overall stock picker. So we had that, and then we had some consolidation. The video I made Wednesday was here, and I told everybody, listen, this is healthy, still above the 21. No reason to start going crazy. Yesterday was a nasty day, one of the worst days in a couple months, and we fell pretty low. The NASDAQ actually came down right at the 50. This morning opened way below the 50, and now is trying to form essentially the same thing, a hammer candle to close out. A hammer candle is what this looks like. It's like a hammer. We'll see if that comes to fruition. It is 12:30, so still another 3.5 hours in the market, but currently sitting above the 50. The way I look at this is, you have a large run from trough to peak all the way up here, which was, I think, close to 7 months. You had to figure you're going to give some back. I mean, the stock market cannot keep doing this. You had one of these days, it took it well. But you got to obey the rules, right? So yesterday on this move, I was stopped out of quite a bit of names. Again, I stick to, for the most part, my rules of either 5 to 7% stop losses, no more. I'm okay losing, having losses as long as my losses are small and my wins are large. I want my wins to quadruple, 5, 10, 10 times over my losses, and that is always my goal. I could take 10 trades, win 3, and I could still come out very profitable by the way I trade, because I think I do a good job of cutting my losses. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. No one is perfect. No one could clock this like no one could clock that. Anybody that tells you they can, they're full of shit. Nobody can. Not even the best traders in the world and investors in time can do that. So, in any case, I move and shift and bend to what we got. So we got above that, and so now we watch this very closely. We want to make sure that we hold above that and make sure that we stay above that. This is an important line. I cannot emphasize it enough. Coming down here, we got it, came back up, come here. The more times we touch this and we don't rally above it substantially, it becomes a bit worrisome. So with that, we'll come back to that. Let's go into Bitcoin because it's getting absolutely mauled. Lower low here. I know people are buying. They're claiming it's discounted. It's on sale. I'm a Bitcoin bull. But you should always look at charts or at least understand the fundamentals before you're buying something. Hard to buy here. I'm just being very honest, only unless if you're like a dollar cost average guy or you're a guy that has a very long-term exposure. Yes, I do believe Bitcoin is going up, right? I'm never going to be able to clock the bottoms and clock the tops, but I'm not going to just foolishly just buy because it's down. I mean, it could go down more. It's below all the averages. I mean, the next level of support is like $74,000. There's a very likely possibility this could drop another $20,000. This is where your area is. So just, I mean, without going into Fibonacci lines and drawing downtrending and uptrending lines, which I could do, this is really your true major support level. I mean, if you're buying here for the sake of buying, just to buy, what can I tell you? Some people, they don't get it. Gold. So gold carved out what I think is still the low. I think this is healthy, nice collective pullback. If you wanted to get into gold, you could look at GFI. You could go into this. I think this is healthy if you want some gold exposure. This would probably be one of my favorites right now. GFI looks really healthy, sitting at the averages if you want gold exposure without actually buying gold, which I buy hard gold. But if you want gold exposure, this would be a good name. GLD, the ETF, would be also a good name. You know, whatever. You pick which one you like. I'm not buying any of them, just pointing it out there. All right, so we got that out of the way. Let me also start off by saying something and setting a little bit of the backdrop. I think historically you have to look at unemployment. I was doing some late night history. I like to always go back to precedent and review things. Every time that unemployment has risen in the past that I could find, and I went back, I found markets significantly trend down. Just putting it out there that unemployment is a number that we need to be watching very closely. It gives us a little bit of the backdrop of the health of the economy. So let's keep an eye on that, and we shift and move and to all the grooves of what comes down the line. All right, now let's go with what's worked, what hasn't. Let me give you some plays, what's some things you should look for next week. Let's get to the meat and the potatoes of it. Let's go with a name that I like long, that I've been singing the praise. I've been posting this like an arrogant prick on my Instagram. I just posted it earlier this morning with a little Kanye West good morning. This is a thing of beauty. I told you guys when I got into it I think it was last week I got into this. This is just doing its thing. I'm up nice. I think this goes higher. I think this is going to be the movement of bio. I think biotech stocks are going to really start to move and groove. So my stance on this is still a buy. However, exercise caution for dear God, because I'm going to tell you, just because I own it, I'm up 28, 29% already on this move. And I do have some call options. Call options are going to be closed today. No doubt about it. I mean, the call options are up 15. Was it? I'm off the low by 15, so my call options are up 40, 50%. They're getting close. They're short dated. They're only like a month or two out. My shares, I might let it run a little bit, but we're hit, you have to manage your risk. With that said, I think this goes higher. This is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. This is a name I called out, and I'm still riding it. Okay. And I'm going to touch on the long stocks before I go on to my short stocks. All right. So that name has worked. It's been definitely a winner. Lilly, I admittedly trimmed, I sold all my calls in Lilly yesterday. I had call options going out till next year in April. They're kaputs. I closed them and I sold half my shares. I have a half a position. The reason is I think this is getting extended, but my God, this is riding. Look at it. Look at it just riding the five here. I mean, great trade. I called this one out 2 weeks ago on earnings. I got in this, was it either this or this day, got into calls, got into shares. It's just been a winner. Eli Lilly looking to break records as the largest, I think it's 1 trillion pharmaceutical company in history. It looks like they're on the path to it. Great trade. This has held up great, even when the market was getting decimated. It was great to look at this and say, that's winning. So that for you guys that went in on that, congratulations. All right, on the long side, I'm going to open is still something I have more conviction on, and not so much a trade. However, so again, I have a trading account. I have a long account. My long account is either my IRA or my long shares. This is buried in my IRA, no stop loss. In my trading account, there is a stop loss, but it's nothing substantial. I'm no longer in calls. I did calls back here. I haven't done them recently. I'm in shares. So constructively looking at this, if we want to look at the moving averages, the 50 is at 799. It's above that. The 21 is at 761. It's above that. The 5 is 857. It's 9 cents below that. This is still actionable, in my opinion. This is not financial advice, and you need to make your own decisions with your own risk tolerance. But I'm somebody that believes very much in this stock. Um, it had a great day on Wednesday. Again, it gave back a percentage. I mean, people were like killing me, like texting me and sending messages like, what happened to open? It's down 6%. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? It's up like 50% from the low here. At one point, it was up like I want to say it was maybe not 50, maybe like 40 something percent from this low to here. It's like, dude, what do you expect? The day prior was like 20% up. Stocks don't just go up. If you don't have the stomach for this, then maybe you just need to be a long-term investor. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have this conversation with people. So I think that's an actionable item for next week. Earnings are behind them. Let's see how that pans out. However, if you're somebody that's trying to enter a trade, hey, enter it. Set yourself a stop loss on the bottom of this wick. Understand your risk. Make a correct decision. I think that's a high probability trade. Your defined risk is there. Make your decision. Okay. Jumping into AMD. AMD is something that I've toyed with emotionally. I did buy more shares yesterday. And so far it's worked out. For the most part, I'm batting a high percentage on AMD. It's one of those stocks that I've been batting a high percentage on. I think a lot of this is luck more than just being good. Above all averages, I think it shook some people out yesterday. Riding that, opened up really low this morning, came up now above the averages. I think above the averages, that's healthy at the close. I can't argue you buying more shares. Ray Diallo, let's see if this got disclosed with Bridgewater. It did not yet. It doesn't show. Let's see. It does not show. This is where you check institutional ownership. And Ray Diallo, who is I mean, if you don't know who he is, he's a hedge fund manager, one of the best around. He took a massive position in AMD. Yeah, AMD is one of those stocks where I think is going to change the world. I think it has more upside than NVIDIA. If you have to ask me between owning AMD and NVIDIA, I'm always going to pick AMD because it just has more upside. Lisa Su, tremendous CEO. I'm riding this. I have some shares that have stop losses. I'm more of a trade side. I got my long. I think this closes above the averages today. There's no reason you can't enter that if you're a newcomer into that position. Okay. All right. I touched on really what's left of the upside. So I did get stopped out of Hood, having given up on Hood, but I got stopped out. For those of you who have been following me for a long time, know this was one of my best trades. I took this to about here. I had behind AMD, this was my second best trade of the year. But the last couple times I toyed with it, I hit it once on a nice trade. I think I got it here to here, but I lost two out of the last three, and I got stopped out. I got stopped out yesterday. Yeah. I have not bought back in. I'm not looking to buy back in. I still think it's a great company. I own it in my IRA, but this is one that I am paying attention to closely for the overall sentiment of the market. I am not condoning you to buy this, but just pointing it out. Palantir, another one that is a fan favorite. This is another one I'm watching very closely. I did get stopped out yesterday of PLTW. I no longer own PLTW. I was stopped out. It was a great run. I did very well. I've owned this since back here. So you don't see this as a big move. You probably say I owned it from 33 to like 42 or 40. Yeah, but I collected all the dividends along the way. So needless to say, I did a P&L on this. I came out like over 80% return on that. So that worked. My run has ended with them, and I don't own Palantir anymore in my IRA. I sold that a couple weeks back. I'll see what happens. I'll see what happens. I'm not. It's not on my shit list. It's not something I won't consider opening or buying back into. But right now, not interested. All right. Let's go into Dutch Bros. Man, I can never like this is the one that really it is excuse me guys, 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to put the thermostat down in my office. We're in sunny South Florida and it got a little bit hot in here. I can't get this right. I admittedly, again, another one where I did so great on this before. I have it in my IRA. I believe in this company. I am not stopped out, but I am down about 5% on this. I moved my stop a little while ago to the bottom of this wick, and I think that's my line in the sand. I'm going to give it some room because I do think deep down, I hate to sell this because I think this is going to succeed. I truly, truly do. Um, it's just now below the averages. I can't condone you buying it. I'm just pointing out my lack of success on that. I don't know if anybody on YouTube or at Twitter or whatever they do that with me. Uh, I like to point out where I could have done better or got something wrong because these videos serve as a form of holding myself accountable more than anything. Don't get me wrong. I think I'm good at what I do, but I just don't win every trade. And I think being honest and pointing it out is the right thing to do. I look at people's pages and I follow people and they're just like they don't lose on trades. I don't understand. They're like perfect. I don't know how anybody does it. I've done good this year, but shit, I'm not that good. All right, so that's it for the long. I don't have anything else to set you up for. I think you've got those plays going into next week. I'm going to tell you what I did. I went against my rules. Don't shoot me, but I went against my rules and I bought Bloom Energy yesterday on a massive dip. This is completely against my norm. I did buy more yesterday. I have never been down so much on a stock in the sense of a quick trade, percentage wise. Dollar amount, no, but um, so I rode this trade on calls. I hit a great trade. I got in the shares. I changed my thesis. I went from more of an actively trading stock. I shifted to more of a stock that I believed in, more of an investment. I told you guys I set my stop loss down here somewhere. Yesterday it came down. I bought more shares. I'm not condoning this, but I would tell you this. If the stock gets above this area, I think that's an active go point for next week, and that's one that you should put on your your action list. I believe in this company. It does not mean that if it doesn't go down here, I won't clip it. Um, but I did buy calls yesterday and I bought shares. It was down 20%. I knew it was going to have a snapback. I admittedly did close half my calls before this video started. I saw an opportunity as a trader, and I added like 10% to my position in shares, and then I bought some calls going out to January, and I've closed half of them. I'm going to see how this day goes, but needless to say, it was a good trade so far. So this should be on your list for next week. That's it for the long side. I've taken up so much time for you guys. Short side, Jesus, I didn't even realize the time. IONQ, I've talked to you guys about this. This needs to be on your short list. I shorted it here. I got down here. I closed my short at the end of the day. I'm going to look to short this again. This will be another short. Sorry, guys, I resume. This will be another short once it pops back up here. I will be taking this again. Very big possibility that I'll take this today going into next week. I need to see it close at a certain point. I want to see it get denied at the 5. IO and Q is definitely on my shit list. Rigetti, I shorted this yesterday, or I'm sorry, I shorted this the day before. I mentioned this on my last video. I've shorted this twice this week. I've hit both shorts. I'm out of it. Got out yesterday. The reason is when stocks have massive downturns like they did yesterday, they're going to have little snapbacks because that's called covering. So people that are short covering, people that are shorting are now getting out because they have so much profit, which I think the market could have some short covering today. So that's why I'm still a little weary. But overall, this is on my shit list for next week to short. And I can almost guarantee that I will short that next week. And I very might short it again. And then Iron. I did short this yesterday. Again, I day traded this yesterday. Broke below the 50. This is textbook short. Textbook. I mean, if you want to see a true break, the break would be here at 40. But I'm going to tell you, like, I think this is going lower, and I'll be looking to short this again. Everybody knows it's followed me. This was this was a great trade for me this year. Actually, I got a great on the upside. Now I think fundamentals are starting to matter, and these companies don't make any money. I knew eventually this would happen. And for the record, I'm going to close out this video by saying this is healthy. These names like Iron, Rigetti, IONQ, Cypher, I'm not saying they're all going to get killed, but the majority of them are getting killed. And I think that's good because now the market is starting to, the good is going to come to the surface of the companies that have fundamentals, they have earnings reports, they do well, revenue, and the shit like this, unfortunately, which I hope it's not shit, but at the moment it's shit, is going to get pushed down. Still, this could one day be a huge winner, but in the next couple of months, I would go on record. I think I went on record already in the beginning of this week when it was here saying this is going down. And I think they're all these quantum computing energy names that have no revenue. They're going down. Finally, I'm going to close it out with this because this is 23 minutes and I probably lost the attention span of most people. Listen, if you are a believer, and as I do, I'm going to tell you the two tickers that I use sometimes to short the market. SH is what I use. This is a 1X, so it's not double leveraged, not as aggressive, but this is, you buy this, it means you're going short the S&P, okay? Just so you have an idea. This has obviously been killed because it's the opposite of the S&P. This is not to buy long. This is if you believe the S&P is going lower, you buy this. I use this at time in a lot of cases to hedge my portfolio. When I do that is when my portfolio days that have run up, and we are 7-8% over the 50-day moving average, I start to take a small position in this as an insurance hedge. The one that you could use for the NASDAQ would be PSQ. Now, as you see today, it's red because the NASDAQ is up. So I want you to be aware of these. You could use these to your advantage if you so choose. And you know there exist 2x and 3x, and that would be more in an inverse on a leverage side. However, I would not suggest that to the average person. Next week, I'm going to touch on how to use call options to, well, sorry guys, I'm not plugged in, but next week I'll show you how to use call options on the puts as opposed to just doing a traditional short, which I typically do in most cases. All right. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay flexible, stay nimble, shift and move to the market. Don't get too hot. Don't get too cold. It works itself out. Keep improving yourself. All right, signing out.